Lock, AT, Willie B. We are back. No guests. Virtual session of the pod.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean, due to the days, due to the life factors, but it's all right. We're going to keep podding, y'all. How y'all feeling? How my brothers feeling?
I'm doing all right, man. Yeah.
Willie just came back from across the country, man.
Yes.
Happy to have you back, Willie. Happy you made it back safely. Happy you got a good trip. Or how was your trip?
It was refreshing. It was needed. You gotta come with me on the next trip or the trip after the next trip or something.
We both gotta make our way out there. All three of us type shit.
Yo, Arizona might be the move.
I got fam out there, man. I know the area. Let's go.
I don't say it like that because I'll book a ticket and be like, hey, bro, so you.
Hey, man, I need some time. Like AT said, we got some technical difficulties going on. Days in effect, but I'm always trying to make my way out to Arizona, man. I love the area. If I could move out there, I would. You know what I'm saying?
So, yo, here's the funny thing, and I'll say this before we kind of get into the project of the week, which we don't have a new graphic for yet. Y'all got to hold on with us.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's called Project of the Week now. We've changed it, but it's still gonna say album when it come up. But what surprised me was like of the moderate cost of living. Like home prices are definitely like a little bit more expensive, but they're like comparable. Where it's just like, in a major city, like you able to get a decent sized home for like $250,000 or something like that.
You think about the area. You think about a lot of those places. Not necessarily including Denver per se, but Arizona in particular. A lot of that stuff is new development, bro. It's a desert, literally a desert. I got family out there that's buying new houses that never been lived in for very, I wouldn't say cheap, but they're doable prices.
They're affordable,
yeah, without a doubt. And they're beautiful houses in beautiful areas. Because they have all this new development, it's just brand new stuff. You know what I mean? So one thing about the area I realized when I first went out there when I was a kid, I went out there for about 5 weeks. I believe I went out there for like 3 or 4 days with my family. My family left. I stayed out there.
Yeah.
And I really realized, like, man, it's like so much unused space. Everything here is new. You know what I'm saying? I'm coming from the Midwest. You know, this area has been, I guess, settled for a lot longer than the West Coast. You know what I mean? Especially the desert out there. But yeah, definitely. That area out there is beautiful. You know, you go outside, you see mountains. You know what I mean? It's something really nice. You know what I'm saying?
Bro,
Year round. You know what I'm saying?
So remember when we were in Vegas and like the tops of mountains was purple, bro. This is the first time I seen the snow on the top of the mountains. It's just a vibe, bro. And then so dig this. So we go grab brunch at this spot, Rupert's on the Edge. It's near Lake Sloan, right? So
Rupert's.
Yeah, bro. I said to Ashton, the only Rupert we acknowledge is Neve, but only audio people will get that joke. But it was funny because like you at Lake Sloan and you look to your left and you see the skyline of Denver, and you look to your right and you see the mountains, and then you at the water. I'm like, bro, this is the best of all worlds. You got water here, you got mountains, and you got the skyline vibes. I was at this restaurant called L5, just mega skyline vibes. This Hispanic joint in the art district, skyline vibes there. Water vibes going out to the Gross Reservoir.
If you're in Denver, it's going to be skyline vibes everywhere because of the fact that you're in the mountains. The city is literally based up there, so it's like
I'm just talking about skyline as far as the buildings, the downtown buildings.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just like Denver is incredibly populated, especially since they in the past. I don't know when they legalized everything, but they got a big boost in population there, and infrastructure is going crazy, bro. They got a lot of money circulating in that city, and I'm happy you got a chance to experience it for yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely a lot different than the Midwest. I definitely got me my way out there eventually, bro.
Yeah, the weed tax is 25%.
Yeah,
bro.
Thanks for that information, Willie.
No, just if anybody wants to know.
I'm gonna make it out west too soon before I write this country out. I got to. What that's Stacy saying?
What was that song?
It's undeveloped.
That what was that? It's like get it out west. Something.
Slanging out west. That's Jack Boy.
Jack Boys. Check West. Travis Scott. Shout out.
That was your theme song of the weekend, Willie?
Nah, but I guess I probably should have played it. Like I guess I should have.
Willie was out west. Y'all, and I'm sure he has plenty of that content on his own personal social media. So go check him out. It's Willie B everywhere. But it is Daze Unscripted. Let's get into the project of the week. My pick for the week
formerly called.
What do you?
Album of the week.
Formerly called album of the week.
Yes, the album of this week, or the project of this week, was Cut
Reese?
That Boy by Cudum Reese. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't know exactly where he's from, but he's from Florida, and it sound like it. And it sound like it. Let's just say that.
Yeah. What y'all think of the project?
I enjoyed it. I like that energy.
I think
I do too.
For me, I guess where I was, like, cause I was out in Denver, vacation and stuff. It was really aggressive. For like, like I think if this would have been album of the week like a couple weeks ago, I'd be like, oh, okay, cool. But like, man, whoo, it was aggressive.
I enjoyed it.
It's not bad. I think this was this AT's album or project. Yeah. Man, he definitely recovered from his last pick. This one was mixed. The production was definitely cool. I don't know if it was all one producer, if it was a couple producers. It was just for me, like, I guess now that y'all say Florida, I had no idea dude was from Florida. But it was just really aggressive for what I was doing at the time. I was just like,
I feel you.
Yeah.
Hey, after looking at the cover art, I could immediately tell it was gonna be on some just stuff. Dreads is looking crazy. I knew he was gonna be from Florida, but I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Florida sound. I enjoyed that aggressive, I guess you could say, aggressive type of music. The features was definitely hitting. Features was hitting. I enjoyed the Jack Boy track, Shot Caller. I enjoyed that track. I enjoyed the Boston track. I thought that was a good exhibition of what Cudum Reese was able to do, like in terms of wordplay, you know what I mean, and flows and stuff like that. I think the Dirk track also, shout out to Dirk, man. He's putting a lot of these younger people on. He's jumping on a lot of tracks.
I said that a few weeks ago when we bumped the Kevo Mooney project, and it's just like Dirk just shines. You know what I mean? Yeah, Dirk shines in his light.
I'm happy to see Dirk working with these artists and still putting people on and still staying busy. I'm excited to see what he does. I know he has something else dropping this soon, I think.
I think it's with Baby. Him and Baby are dropping a collab project.
Okay. Thank you. I'm looking forward to that,
Do we see more collab projects happening on the second half of this year? Not by like anything that's already slated, but can y'all imagine some? Like, who do you really think is teaming up as we kind of?
I think 2019 ruined the collab projects and like.
What you mean?
What do you mean?
Because I feel like that was a year where we saw a good amount of like the Travis Scott, Quavo projects. Like people were just trying to do it just to do
Travis
it. Travis
Scott and Quavo did a project?
I thought so. Am I talking about?
I don't know. I don't remember that. But
Huncho Dreams, wasn't it called Huncho Dreams?
I thought that was only Quavo.
I remember we have Smooth was talking about that was just Quavo's album. I'm not sure. Yeah. Maybe that was a Trav collab. I'm not sure.
Let me pull it up.
I also didn't listen to that album. I remember saying that.
I just feel like 2019 there was a lot of collab projects that year, and it was kind of on that wave of like they were trying to, after the Drake and Future success of What a Time.
That was back in like 2016 though.
Exactly. I'm just saying, but people saw that as like such a commercial success. Hey, we can put these two artists that necessarily
Big Sean and Zay, Big Sean and Metro did the project. Metro in 21.
That was 2019. Oh, that 2019.
Metro in 21. Savage Mode 2. That wasn't that was last year.
Huncho Jack. Excuse me. It was called Huncho Jack. Is the Travis Scott?
I never.
I don't remember that at all.
Either. That's crazy.
It was called Huncho Jack.
I'm really not in tune with Quavo or Migos music. I didn't even know. But
apparently that was 2017. So I guess it was I believe you were right. It was that period from after kind of What a Time, from after 2016 to this 2017, 2019.
Your point.
I feel like
stands there. Yeah.
I feel like we just saw a good amount of collab projects that kind of overused it. So and they didn't commercially perform that well, I don't think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Drake and Future was an anomaly. I would agree. What did you say, Will?
No, I was about to say I agree with Locke's earlier point of like I ain't been tuned in with Migos because like I remember on a trip I had flipped on like a one of the pre-curated playlists, trying to stay up to date.
That's what you Spotify people do. I hate that shit. That's why as much props as you give Spotify, them, hey, let's throw on this
But you want to know what? No. All right, and I hate no, dig this. Because you want to know what? Apple Music is terrible for discovery. It's just what you listening to is what you listen to. At least Spotify, and like, you know, we're not sponsored by either, but people always want to make these Android, Apple arguments, want to make these Apple, Spotify arguments, and a lot of people. Not y'all specifically, but some people just like get high on the hog on Apple. I really do I really do think Spotify and even my little brother, who is the Apple head, was like Spotify is better for like discovery. So like really, ain't nothing wrong with, I feel like the the pre-curated stuff, because I think it really works in a very SoundCloud-esque fashion where you can find some new slaps, you can find some new
so I'll give you this as somebody who's in the middle ground of this, okay? I was a big Spotify user, and I found a lot of artists that became some of my favorite artists on Spotify. I found Isaiah Rashad on Spotify. I found Party on Spotify. And this was like, I remember getting noticed at the end of the year, like, you're one of their first listeners type thing, because I got hip to them real early type thing. I remember being happy about that. You know what I'm saying? When I got to Apple Music, when I moved to Apple Music, in a sense, when I moved to Apple Music, it was because of access. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
I was looking for, because they had music that Spotify didn't have. You know what I mean? It was some licensing issues back then where everybody didn't have the same albums. Stuff like Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt was in the air for a lot of stuff, and a lot of people didn't have access to that. I wanted that album. That was part of the reasons why I went to Apple Music when I did. But I do not have an issue with finding new music on Apple Music. I don't personally.
I think that's because you're a music head, though. I think that's because you really listen to music.
I feel like some people have trouble using the UI. Like, I get a lot of people that complain about Spotify's UI. People complain about Apple Music's UI. And the UI, when I say UI, I mean the user interface.
And I mean, to Locke's point, it's kind of at the fact that Apple has kind of some of the infrastructure. I do agree with Willie that some of the discovery elements of Spotify are better, but I'm not a fan of the algorithm vibes. You know what I mean? The algorithm vibes. But going back to where you were going, it's like Apple, if you use the UI properly, it shows your friends. It will show what they are listening to. If you have a detailed friend list and you actually use what they put in place, it will essentially have some type of discovery. It's just, I guess you have to be a little bit more active, which is, again, nowadays people are lazy. People don't want to do that little extra work.
Point. Yeah. And to Will's point, you said, like, I look for music. I look for new music, so that's part of the reason why I'm able to find it. But I found that Murray album. You know what I mean? I found Murray on Apple Music. Okay. And I found that through the browse.
It helps, though.
New albums.
Like me and Stacy are always constantly sharing music back and forth. Yeah. You know what I mean? You can do that on Spotify, just like you could do that on any other platform.
I do think if you have an iPhone, Apple Music is better set up for that sharing facet of it, or that community facet, which I really want Spotify to get better at doing. So like Spotify needs to do what Spotify needs to do what Clubhouse kind of did, and have like
with music.
Yes. No, Spotify really needs like
So similar to what Apple Music has with the friends thing, because it's Apple Music. You don't have Apple Music, Will, so I'm not sure if you understand what we mean by that. But when you first get into Apple Music, you set your taste. They ask you like what kind of music you like, and they ask you what kind of artists you're kind of into. Then they go deeper and deeper and deeper, maybe like 3 or 4 tiers.
Yeah.
Or they go into songs and sort of sounds and stuff like that, and then they go into like people you want to add to your friends list. So I have like I have a pretty decent amount of friends. I have maybe 20 or something friends. You know what I mean? People including Crisis, shout out Crisis. People including AT. People including Denzel, shout out Denzel. People including Denzel's little brother. People including other DJs that I know. People including all types of folks. You know what I mean?
Illy's on mine. Shout out Illy.
Yep.
Anybody got anybody's grandma as a friend?
Ain't nobody's grandma got Apple Music. Okay. But we scrolling and they know exactly what they listening to. Mary, and Fred Hampton. So it ain't gotta worry about nothing. But as I scroll through those, I'll find points like, it's like, oh, so-and-so's listening to this album. And I'm like, I didn't know they dropped. I'll go listen to that. You know what I mean? Stuff like that is actually really helpful for me, because it may not be in my realm of music I listen to daily, but my friends, I don't have a specific taste personally. Like, if you all know me, I know I listen to everything. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, if I find somebody listening to something, I'm gonna bump it. Yeah. Apple Music, it depends on it. Like you said though, man, if Spotify can get a point of access like Apple Music does with iPhones, if Spotify can get that with Android phones, You might see that
and,
sort of switch.
And to kind of balance out on both sides right here, you gotta always Spotify share function is killing Apple Music, and that's why they had to implement some of the things that match. And not only when Spotify was dropping some of that year-end wrap-up stuff, obviously that performed very well.
That's
as well.
a really good feature. Yeah.
So all that type of stuff does kind of play into it, but it's again.
I do now.
Preference.
Now,
Spotify is also more geared towards the artist as well. Yes. I feel like so.
Now, what I don't want to see is, and this goes with not even just music apps. This goes with like Netflix. This goes with any type of streaming app for real, whether it's music, video, whatever. I don't like them starting to look like they're trying to be another social media, because I don't want my Netflix to be a social media. I don't want to start seeing posts. I don't want to start having a timeline when I get on Spotify, or whether it's like an Apple Music or Netflix or HBO Go.
I feel that.
I don't want I
feel that.
And I feel like that was what stuff started to gear towards. Like I even see that with YouTube now, which I mean, that's kind of cool.
You can like post.
You got posts, you got stories and stuff. And I'm like, is this the spot for it? People, obviously, people who have garnered a large enough following. It don't matter what feature is put on wherever. If people are following you over here, they're going to pay attention to it and not understand that. But with that being said, like, I don't want these streaming platforms to get to a point where they are trying to serve us.
They're
like
all the same
social
thing,
media.
You know what I mean?
I don't want, but
there's a point of marketing in that though. I mean, when it comes down to these movies and stuff like that, like there's an extra step taken to be like, I watched a movie and I loved it, and I just happen to not tell you about it. You know what I mean? But if you happen to see like, oh, Stacy watched this movie, he 5-starred it, and it pops up like other movies 5-starred by Stacy, then you might actually check these movies out. And that's one less step that they have to take, as well as I have to take. But I understand where you're at, because you're like, I don't need to know that Stacy watched this.
Bro, like Venmo. I don't need to know what transaction somebody made, bro. Dave spent $45 for the gas tank emoji. I know he bought weed now. So like now you just telling on people. So like and that's what social media really is, just like you just telling on yourself, whether it's good, bad, whether it's just your thoughts. No, that's all, bro. That's all social media is like, hey, I ate a sandwich today. You told on yourself.
But that's the whole thing, is like the whole point of social media when it comes down to it is like, okay, you get a peek into what I'm doing, and it motivates you to do the same thing. You know what I mean? Now you saw I got a sandwich, you want a sandwich. You don't know if I made that sandwich, you don't know if I went and bought it. But now you got an inkling to go get a sandwich.
You may
actually leave to go spend money to go get this sandwich because I said I ate one. You know,
I drink you don't know. And on top of that, I like that because it's like you see a picture of a sandwich, and then now you see an ad right after that person's post, and it looks organic. They took a picture of a sandwich, and now you see 2 sandwiches in a row, and now it's like
making me hungry.
Now it's like I'm gonna go to Qdoba.
Look at you.
Y'all making me hungry. But I think
consumer.
Locke hit this on the head maybe not last week, but a few weeks ago, where it's like it doesn't matter sometimes how the person that's displaying things gets it. It's just about that, you know what I mean? That perception of having something and how it makes other people feel. It doesn't matter how that person got it.
That's how you can steal things, and stealing music and stuff like that. That's why it all comes down to still being like artists. You go back to 50, bootlegging his own stuff. You know what I mean? Same with like people doing these things, and they're not being necessarily upset about it. Like, man, streamers gonna stream. People gonna do whatever they're gonna do, but that's why people got merch. That's why they got tours. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like, man, that music was crazy, and I heard it bootleg. You know what I mean? Or another realm where it's like, you know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, you see this person with it. You know, that's why these artists get a lot of stuff for free. That's what me make jokes about it. Like, oh, you get paid because you can buy all this stuff. You never had anything, but the minute you get paid, everything you get is free. You know what I mean? Because of the fact that you mean something now. And now the fact that you're wearing it. Like, I'm asking you, I'm talking about that shirt. That shirt tight. Will, I'm going to find out where you get that shirt from. And I'm probably going to go shopping at that place you got that shirt from.
To find similar vibes. And it's part of the algorithm.
Exactly. Now, if you were a person of interest, if I didn't say I didn't know you, you know what I mean? And I was still like, yo, like I'm peeping this dude on, he looked tight. Like, oh, that's why at the end of all that shit, they be like, oh, shoes by so-and-so. Because it's like, just the fact you wearing it is enough. You know what I mean? Enough to make somebody be like, oh, them is tight. You know what I mean? They don't need to know what it, know any details. They just know what it is.
No, yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree.
What is the name for that marketing? I guess outreach marketing,
guerrilla marketing, probably.
No, it's more so targeted marketing. Wait. When it's an algorithm or when it's like real life?
When it's kind of just like it's something else marketing for you. You know what I mean? It's like the perception of someone having this.
That's low key like influencer marketing though. Like because you saw,
I would say that because you're using that person's.
But it doesn't have to necessarily be like, because Stacy's point or Locke's point last week, where it was like, "Hey, I got this album. I bootlegged it off the corner, off my computer."
That's influencer. Well, all right,
at the end of the day, like having it, like putting it, that's like stickers and shit like that. It's like, oh, like this shit is just putting it in your face, just plugging it everywhere you can, and that's the guerrilla effect, like. Like guerrilla warfare in the Vietnam shit, like they just ambush you. That's the idea of that type of marketing.
You just see it everywhere.
Throwing it in your face, putting it in your face everywhere. It's you walk outside, it's on the street. That's the thing they did up at Kent. Like, they chalking everything. That was the part of that. Like, you walk in, you gonna see this shit. You know what I mean? It just is what it is. You can't escape it. It's always in your face. It makes you think about it. And now you wondering why you're thinking about it. And then you got this inkling, like, you got the inclination, like, I need to go get this now because I've been thinking about it so much. It's just the point of that. Plugging it in your mind, getting you familiar. That's what people do with campaigning, bro, with the politicians. So I see these signs with a big ass name. Fatter, the bigger the sign, the better, because it's just plugged in your head. Like, oh, James, like I gotta vote. I saw that name so many times. Like, I don't know, I'm vote for James. Like, you know what I mean? It's what it is.
I'm gonna vote for James.
I'm driving through this nice ass neighborhood. I feel good. The yards look nice. Oh, fat ass sign that say O'Malley. Like, I'm gonna think about O'Malley and feel good when I think about that name, because those colors, this whole vibe over here, this house looks nice. Like, every time I see this thing for the next 3 months, I'm gonna see this name. I'm gonna feel good because I'm leaving work. I'm going home. Those type of things matter. So it's like those type of routes, all that stuff is used a lot in political stuff because people don't really care what you're talking about. You know what I mean? It's just like, if you're familiar with my name and you hear me all the time, there's nothing bad, then you probably gonna vote for me because you know my name type shit. You don't know why you know my name. You don't know why you don't know why you know these boots. You don't know why you so familiar with this shirt or this logo, but you like it because you've seen it so much.
And I think the opposite works in marketing, where it's like you don't
know nothing about it.
Well, also you know so many negative things about the opposer or the opposition, I guess, for that fact, where it's just like
use it against them.
Yeah, like you don't want to watch, like, or for instance, let's just say like Hulu and Netflix, for example, like where it's just like, oh well, you don't want to watch Netflix because the algorithm get too deep into what you watch and you don't want them spying on you. And it's like, well, Hulu don't do that, or like just stuff like that. They let you spy on you, or a real case, or a real life example with Apple having the advertiser ID being optional, where they're asking you to opt in instead of automatic, or instead of you having to opt out with the ID stuff, where it's kind of like, well, Apple doesn't sell your personal data and all this type of stuff. Something like a Facebook will, and it's just like,
I don't know what marketing that's called, but I understand what you're saying. That's like another realm where it's like that person just lets too much out, you know what I mean? And you just use it against them. Like, well, we don't do that. And I know that's some people, that's going to be a deciding factor. I feel like when it comes down to clothing and stuff like that, unless it's like talking about how it's made, you know what I mean? Like with Nike, like, a lot of stuff came out about Nike, about Beyonce's stuff, about Derriere. What was it called? Darion. That's what it was. I was like, it wasn't called Derriere.
It wasn't called Booty.
I was like, ain't no way.
There's no way it was called Booty.
But a lot of stuff came out about her stuff being made in sweatshops, as well as Nike stuff. And a lot of people now, sportswear stuff, come out just specifically saying our stuff is not made in sweatshops. And that's a deciding factor for people to buy their stuff. You know what I mean? So I totally get what you're saying.
There is that element of stuff. Sorry, Willie, to cut you off. But it's like that element of like, hey, are we really doing this for the betterment? Hey, 1% of our profits goes to Black people. Do we really support Black people now? Like,
but no, and people will use that. Like, they'll be, what got me, this is what got me was the George Floyd protest, and then now out of nowhere you see these companies talking about we stand with Negroes, or we love our Negro customers.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it be like that.
But then it'd be like, oh, such and such company just like donated X amount of dollars towards black cause Y, and then it's like, that's a drop in the bucket for them. They didn't like, they literally were like, oh, we need to give some money to Negroes.
And it's a tax write-off.
Here you go, Negroes.
Willie said, "I got money. Let me just drop
$2.
But to those companies, that's what I'm saying.
That's how it is.
But to those companies, whatever millions they gave or whatever, it's literally like $2. Like
it's a tax write-off, as I'm saying. You know what I mean?
That's all it is at the end of the day. And to be able to say they did it, it's about press. If you're a businessman, everything is about press, dog. And honestly, you can't fault them. You know what I mean?
I feel like you can.
It's people's livelihoods, but it's like I understand. There's a moral responsibility that people have to other people. You know what I mean? I totally agree with that. That's on them. You know what I mean? But it's like I totally understand like where it's coming from and why it's coming to that point, because it's like we gotta do something, but can't do much. You know what I mean? You also gotta think about, to be fair, they can do more, but it's a messed up situation, man. And they know, first of all, I put it on the people because only a select few of people that even hold these people to a higher standard. People like you, Will, who like, man, you only gave $2 worth of yourself to this. A lot of people don't even understand it as that. They just see the dollar amount and they just dwell on that, and they're satisfied. And they're really satisfied off of that. And that's on people, bro. That's on the people. And the media only has to do so much. They only need 1 or 2 press releases talking about this particular donation, whatever the hell it is, or this money they invested towards this. And that's enough to get people off their backs, and they worried about somebody else now.
And then that's why all right, we touched on this a little last week, so I'm gonna get on and off the topic real quick. So like when Rory and Maul was talking about being profit partners with Joe, it was apparent in that interview that they had like no equity. They had no IP ownership, which is wild to me because I'm like, 1/4 of this whole pod is literally your intellectual property. So for you to give that up, to sign that away pretty much, that's on you. Because
do you feel me? That's why I'm not trying to get to come like everybody guilty, man. Y'all messed up.
but on and off that real quick. So now think about that. Think about, profit partners versus equity. Now when these companies say, oh, we want to donate X amount of dollars, it's really just a tax write-off, as opposed to saying we want to have these companies be blank percent owners of what we have, and our dividends or a portion of these profits will continually go to them because we are giving them ownership. We are giving them stock in these companies.
That's the thing. That's where real change comes, where it's like, okay, let's give these people some residual, some residual.
And I didn't mean to discredit any companies that might potentially be doing that, but sometimes it does kind of feel that, hey, is this real?
I think that's what it is.
But but as you're saying, there is companies that do give 2% of their profits, and it goes to something in their communities, or it's beneficial. So it's not every company, but yes, it does. It's hard to see. It's a very thin line of like, hey, is this real? Is this really?
Yeah. And it's also hard to expect one company in order to make real change. You think about what the real problem is, how much do you really hold these companies accountable? For doing something about it? What are they really going to do? What I mean? So it's like how, we got to think about how deep rooted these issues are. The George Floyd thing was a long time coming. He was not the first, quote unquote, George Floyd. So, and he won't be the last either. You know what I'm saying? So
I saw this interesting movie last night, and it was kind of shocking. It was definitely on Netflix.
Was it?
It was on your plane ride?
No, I was slumped on the plane. Oh man,
that was too lit.
Yo, shout out! No, I do. This is a real shout out. Shout out to American Express for the new Denver Centurion Lounge, because that
man got his. That man got the yo. Willie loved them algorithm vibes that these companies provide for him, even though he don't.
I got a credit card.
How's the Centurion Lounge algorithm vibe?
Bro, it's basic ass white people that spend a bunch of credit points on that lounge. You know exactly what that lounge
I'm not one of them.
Yeah, I was about to say, Willie ain't white.
Yeah. Just because you colored and you spent the credit points? Right.
I didn't spend points. I'm just traveling.
We didn't call black people Negroes. We call them colored. They are black people.
But I'll find the name of the movie in a second. I'm Googling it as I'm talking.
What was it about though? What was
so this is where I'm actually getting to. So this dude he had a one night stand with this young lady, and he was getting up, putting his clothes on, about to go home to his dog because now he left his dog home all night. I think that the movie's set in like New York or something like that. Yeah, definitely NYPD. I remember seeing that. So he goes outside and dude bumps to dude with a coffee and he gets shot. Just
bumps to a dude with a coffee.
Oh, this is the Joey Badass movie, isn't it?
It's only like it's only like 30-something minutes.
This is the Joey Badass that I told you about.
It won an Oscar.
I've seen this. This is the Joey Badass film that I
So dude is in a yellow hoodie.
It's Joey Badass, nigga. Stop calling him dude.
It's Joey.
I did not know that. I did not know what Joey.
That man can act, boy. Don't sleep.
Really?
Anybody drop
That's
this
what you
year.
need to type it. Joey Badass short film. But I know what you're talking about. It is this essentially it's Groundhog Day for a black person. You know what I mean? That's the simplest term. A scary Groundhog Day for a black person where they wake up
all the
every
worst
day.
case scenarios.
Two distant strangers. And that is it.
Yep.
And eventually he gets to a point where he realizes he can't run, he can't fight what's going on. He needs to just talk to him. He needs to literally just talk to him. And at the end of the Willie, I mean,
did not know that was Joey Badass. Did not know.
I don't know where you were going with your point, but
no.
What were you saying? What was your point?
But what I find interesting, we didn't drifted off and started talking about stuff. But no,
it's Joey.
It's Joey. But to the point that Locke was talking about with like George Floyd, it won't be the last. And what I thought was so telling with that movie is I thought it was very symbolic about how it was like it's the same thing over and over. Every time we turn on the news, every time we look at the TV screen, it's another black person getting killed. It's just that in this instance, dude knows he's gonna get killed, and he just tries to see how long he can get away from it. And even at the end, where it's just like Officer Merck was like, "See you tomorrow, kid," and it's just like that's really the society that we live in. Where
I was gonna say, bro, that mentality is where a lot of people. I mean, honestly, bro. That's almost a base of most people that live in an urban setting. You know what I mean? It's like you are a statistic at the end of the day, and you just waiting, you just hoping that you can hold out long enough to get away from the danger type shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a possibility every day, bro. Every time I see a cop, I think about that, bro.
I told Locke about this probably like a month and a half back, and his response like, I don't even know if I want to watch that right now because it is one of those things where it's
heavy.
Like. That shit is very, you know what I mean? You could see the similarities to real life. It's so apparent. It's so telling. It's so, you know what I mean? And they did a good job because it is so short. You it makes you wonder. You know what I mean? There's a lot of questions. It's heavy.
It's concentrated. You know what I mean?
One thing that I think was interesting was how there are people to this day that I know refuse to watch the movie when they see us. The series, the theatrical series by Ava DuVernay.
I haven't watched it either,
and it's because it's just so heavy, and we know the outcome. With like
scary, bro.
Yeah, like we know the outcome. Like they at the end of the day triumph, all that type of stuff. But it's just people don't even want to watch what they went through. It's
scary, bro.
Yeah, and it's almost like how some people like say the Cavs magically win another championship.
Not magically.
But it's kind of like you didn't watch the game and because you're like, it's just I'm a real sports fan and it's like it's just too much emotion for me on it. And then they win and then it's like, well, you recorded it, why don't you go back and watch it? And it's literally like, I can't watch it. Like I know what the outcome is, but it's just like it's too much to kind of like get into because you see somebody miss a shot at a buzzer. You see,
I feel like it could be something more alluded to, like, see these type of things, like it's more like knowing thinking the Cavs could make it to the finals and knowing that I don't know, man. It's not. I can't even allude it to sports, dog. It's like it's like watching a horror movie, but like. It's not a movie, you know what I mean? And it's real, and it's happened more than once. It's happened afterwards. It's like some people who it's like women. I understand it from a woman's perspective. I'm not a woman, obviously, but like I have a lot of sisters, I have a lot of women in my life, and I'm into like real crime, like true crime shit. You know what I mean? I watch like true serial killers and stuff like that from the 70s and 80s or whatever. And I'll talk to them about it because it fascinates me. But a lot of women just can't watch it because they're just like, yo, that could happen to me. And there are a lot of some people are white women, some are black women, you know what I mean? But in the end, it's because of their identity as a woman. And they're like, I see too much of myself in that victim. and that could easily be me. And that's what I see when I look at that story of these boys. You know what I mean? It's like there's so many situations. Same way, I got friends, bro. That you know what I mean. I got friends in these situations. You know, I have friends that have gotten killed in these situations. And it's like when I look at it, like that, I'm only a few degrees away from being in that position. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that I may watch, when it comes to the police and stuff like that, is stuff with like shootings and stuff like that, and the way police react. So I can understand if I'm in a position like that, I know what not to do and I know what to do. You know what I mean? In terms of like the way police pull you over and if they're aggressive or whatever. And luckily, thank by the grace of God, I'm still here. And I've been pulled over a handful of times by all types of police officers looking for trouble type of thing. You know what I mean? Recently in the past. You know what I mean? So it's like I understand like how close I am to being in those shoes. And it's almost too real, bro.
Yeah.
It's almost too real, and I can understand that because like when I think about that, I can see why women are hesitant to watch some of those true crime stuff because it's like they're only a few degrees away from being in that position where you know they could have easily been a victim and they wouldn't be here anymore, or like I could easily be a victim of being profiled in a sense and then get my name slandered through the media and I could end up in jail. You know what I mean? On some shit I did not do. You know what I mean? And what I say wouldn't matter, and I understand how close I am to that point and it's almost too real for me to really like to settle with. You know what I mean? It's tough, bro. And I understand the reality of it. And that's the thing. It's like to your point with the Cavs game thing. It's like even though you know the outcome, you know what I mean. I know how it ended up, and to me that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Because I understand bits and pieces about the journey to that point, but I don't even want to try and put myself in their shoes because it's just gonna be too much. You know.
This whole convo makes me just wonder. Do y'all think as humans, are we more invested or less invested?
In what?
In general. Just
in humanity?
Yeah.
It depends on the person, bro. Like personally, I know personally, I'm an empathetic person. You know what I mean? So whenever I see somebody going through something or somebody talking to me or whatever, or I watch a movie or whatever, I'm putting myself in that person's shoes. You know, that's just how I am. Somebody tells me something, I put myself in their shoes to understand where they're coming from. You know what I mean? To at least try. You know what I'm saying? So I'm watching something like that. I'm seeing myself in these people's position. You know what I mean? I look at a lot of the true killer stuff in the 80s and 70s is different. And I look at man like, man, like now I wouldn't be able to my logic, you know what I mean? But when it comes to people, like seeing people go through things, even the stuff going around or going on around the world, I try to put myself in their shoes, but I need context, you know.
That's us though. So that's not really my.
You talking about
I'm not
that's what I'm saying. Depends on the
I'm
person,
not asking
though.
if you if we're more. I'm saying are as a whole because I feel like what you're saying and what they have in place and what society has in place kind of desensitizes stuff to make it so you become gradually less invested. And as a majority of society being less invested, we find ourselves at this point where it's conflict everywhere you look, anywhere you look,
because it's
and
normal.
it's like, yeah.
And I think that goes back to it's almost like changing people's internal algorithm. And let's look at it from a guerrilla marketing standpoint. There is a point that when you have marketed to people so much that they don't see it anymore. Like take for instance, we got here like a Kissling that's going Reddit. You may see that on a bus every day. And if you ride the bus every day, you see that same advertiser. You noticed it once or twice, 3 or 4 times, but it starts to kind of just get away from you after it's been advertised to you so often. Same thing goes for, and I hate to bring it back to here, but police shootings.
Yeah.
Where, you know, it's shocking. Like the George Floyd one is shocking. We see that entire video. That was not necessarily a first of its kind, but it's kind of like that's in a different area. We didn't see Breonna Taylor get shot. We didn't see Tamir Rice get shot.
Martin getting shot.
Yeah.
We
So
didn't see a lot of things.
And
we saw Tamir get shot.
We did. On video?
I'm pretty sure it was a video.
Okay, I didn't think so.
So many.
But yeah, I understand though. These videos weren't as the thing is that video was not off a cell phone high HD 2 feet from what was going on. So it's like it was so close, you know. I understand. Yeah.
So when it comes to that, like I think we're gonna get that. That was more of a shocking thing, but it's kind of like when you hear about a Black Death over and over again, Walter Scott, some it's too many names, but it's just like you
Happened
get
again.
yeah, it becomes like it happened again. Oh, this is America.
I
Like,
understand.
and it's just like this is where we live, and it's like it's saddening because like we are the quote unquote land of the free and home of the brave, but like what do
A
those
little too
words mean?
free.
What do those words mean? Like
A little too free for some people.
what are our inalienable rights when we are guaranteed life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? If you get your life taken,
those things did not include Black people. And I believe it's still in the Constitution that we're considered 3/5. You know what I mean? So it's like those weren't talking about Black people, bro. Like that was talking about a portion of the individual. So
it was talking about white males. Like
mentality still stands though. That was the basis. So it's like you look at it like when they're talking about that stuff, they weren't talking about immigrants. They weren't talking about the indigenous people. They weren't talking about people southern of the border. They were talking about people that came through. You know, they're talking about the people that just came through, the white folks that just came through. And that people forget about that. You know, the context matters with a lot of this stuff. But to your point with the media stuff, you know what I mean? It's like you see it all the time, you know. That's why stuff like I thought to someone about this every day. A lot of this international stuff is pretty wild because you hadn't seen the detail of it up to this point.
Debatable.
Stuff with Hong Kong is like, whoa. He was like, whoa, what's going on? Because it was just in your face and you never really seen it. Same stuff going over the Middle East. It's like, whoa, we never really seen it to that extent. People out there aren't surprised. People in Hong Kong ain't surprised. They just happy somebody looking. Same thing with people in the Middle East. They're not surprised.
I think some people, depending on your generation, wouldn't be surprised about certain things like the Israel conflict with Palestine. They're not. It just depends on your own personal bias. And again, if you've been desensitized through the years over and over by the society, putting it on the news, you know what I mean? If we're 30 years from now and we see Israel and Palestine fighting again 30 years from now, we're desensitized. We don't have the same energy, or we're not as invested as we were maybe yesterday or last week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so the first time we saw it, you know what I mean? Same thing with Will's point about Black folks getting killed. Same point about anything. Same with homeless people being talked about in every city. All that stuff. The more you talk about it and the more it just exists and you make it a point of your reality, the less taboo it feels, the less it feels like you need to do something about it because you're still living fine. You made it through yesterday, made it through today, and nothing happened. Shit's still popping off. Oh, well, I guess it's okay then. You know what I mean? So,
I guess when I asked that question, you kind of said, I didn't really have a vein exactly to tap into it, but you said more invested in humanity, which I think it is what it is at the end of the day, because if people aren't invested in humanity, this is what you're more invested in self than the overall big picture of things. That's what we start seeing all these, again, conflict, all these things sprout up.
Also feel like, to your point, like you said, we're people that are like us individuals, we're empathetic. A lot of people ain't, bro. Some people just don't care. Like on some real, some people just don't care about other people and they be worrying about themselves for whatever reason, man. Like I don't fault those people for being that way. Maybe they just don't have the capacity to be worrying about other shit. And that's okay. You know what I mean? But there are people like that out there exist. And when they see this stuff, they just don't care because it's not
people
happening.
We be hanging out with.
I actually want to counter. I want to say it's not okay to only care about self. Really, it's literally people out here who only care about them. And in a world where you know, I will say we kind of been brainwashed with this society. It is, you know, all the consumerism and me. But real talk, we only got this far as a society, and in the world as a whole, as a group working together in a community or group based facet. That's the only time you can go far.
You can make progress. Yeah,
exactly. So I really earnestly think it's not okay. Like if I talk just go ahead.
To your point, everybody doesn't need to be that person.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, and that's why in history, certain people stick out because they were those people. Everybody is not those. Everybody isn't built for that, bro. And I honestly, I don't think it's fair to look at somebody and place that responsibility on it if they really don't want to, man. If they just want to live their life and be a consumer, buy stuff and make money and be a working gear in the system. You know what I mean? As long as they're not sitting around doing nothing, you know what I mean? Like, then they
Yeah.
helping something. You know what I mean? So I understand everybody has their role. Everybody ain't a leader. Everybody isn't gonna be like the exec. Everybody gonna be the light bulb at the top. Some people gonna be, workers, and that's just some people are comfortable there, and that's cool too. You know,
No, and I don't.
And,
but you want to know what? Workers are still part of something. Like worker bees, worker ants, and so I think it's like I said. I'm talking about more so the people who are totally detached from everything. We're like, I don't want to help do nothing.
But
like
some people, but to my point I said earlier, like some people just don't have the some people just don't have the capacity to even like. They have their own life going on, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody
that's back to the society.
They just can't worry about everything, you know what I mean? And
given
society. To AT's point, some people are put in that position almost money. Deliberately. Yeah. They're put in that position by the system deliberately. But that's what I'm saying again. Back to my point, like some people have the capacity to break out of that norm and be able to do that and do some shit on the side. You know what I mean? Still be a functioning part and handle themselves. And then also make progress and think about innovative ideas and be innovative. You know what I mean? So it's like those people we stand out. If you feel like, personally, I feel like I'm one of those people, man. I feel like y'all are those people too. And I'm thankful to be around y'all. But like, that's on us. You know what I mean? That means we got to do it type shit. You know what I mean?
Enough?
But it's like,
yeah, I mean, even
that's what it comes down to.
Even if a person like Elon Musk gets to where he is, do you think eventually it becomes corrupt? You have to make money.
No.
There's no. All right, let me put it like this.
Point earlier.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Point you said earlier, AT. I think we said this before when we was in the pre thing. Homie Shay said sometimes you got to embrace your ego. But in rebuttal, I said everything is good in moderation. You know what I mean? A lot of people in our position who see themselves as a leader, who see themselves as a person to invoke change, they get caught up in that ego and they want to be the only person to evoke change. So to Will's point, these people in this position, they have to have a similar mindset to Will, where it's like, we need a community. To your point, we three can't change the world, but us three with another 100 niggas in a similar mind state who have broken down their ego to understand they need each other, yes, that can evoke change. You know what I mean? So the community does not need to be 100% everybody. It needs to be 100% of the people who are about doing something. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like my point is, it's like everybody ain't gonna be that person, and we have to accept that fact. But the people who are about it, they gotta be able to step up. And of course, like, we ain't enough, but like you said, like, there's ego in that because people embrace it too much. They're like, man, I'm that nigga. Yeah, you might be that nigga, but only you can't do everything yourself. And people gotta understand that, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why there's three of us on this show. You know what I mean? That's why there's a cabinet behind the president. You know, that's why there's Congress and all that shit, because of the fact that nobody can do it by themselves. They need checks and balances. You know what I'm saying? So as long as we can see that, the need for community, we can build that community with other folks with that same mindset. Maybe we not the people leading that. It don't matter. You know what I mean? As long as we making progress. And that's how I feel.
And I don't think the leaders build the community. I think the community builds a community. And the leader
reveals itself. They reveal themselves. You know what I mean? In that process of building a community, somebody steps out, somebody stands out, and the people will recognize it. You know what I mean? I've always felt that way. You know what I'm saying? So
that's like some medieval shit, though. I don't know.
Hey, that's why it worked back then.
We got to go backwards before we go forward.
Real shit. You got to go back to the basics, bro, and be like, all right, bro, not, you know what I mean? On some real. That's basics.
But to AT's point earlier about like corruption, I don't think you get to like a Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, Vladimir Putin, etc. level of wealth without a little sprinkle of corruption. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
you can't throw Putin in there with Elon Musk.
Yes, you can.
That's extra.
Yes, you can.
That dude is literally the definition of corrupt. Like,
you gotta
Putin, but you feel me? Like,
but for real, like, you got to balls just like, all right, so there's these problems. Let's solve these problems. Let's make things more accessible for customers. Let's try to advance technology. Let's try to and you're providing all these things. Let's make 2-day shipping, and then you just be like, let's do corruption, a little bit of corruption.
The reason why I said this is because Bezos and Gates, they finesse the pre-existing law to the best of their ability to make it. They find loopholes.
Okay.
Putin creates the loopholes. He is creating the law. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a different ball game. I feel like, but I do understand what you're saying. We can talk about Gates and Bezos in that level of wealth in here in America. Same with Buffett. You know what I mean? Like, in order to become a successful businessman, you have to be a certain level of corrupt in order to understand the system,
or at least shrewd. If that means, if that makes,
yeah, you got to have some. You have to have less restraint, a little drop in ethics in order to make.
You got to have them algorithm vibes. I'm telling you.
Yeah, them boys created the algorithm, bro.
The algorithm vibes will get you anywhere. Yeah, Zuck has got algorithm vibes. Yeah,
that man created the algorithm. But I agree though, that corruption thing is real. But you see those people. I don't know, man. You look at Gates. You know what I mean? He has a sense of perspective. You know what I mean? Probably the best sense of perspective as someone that I don't know, who's outward about his perspective in terms of other people's plight. You know what I mean? With the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation and stuff like that. Trying to work forward with humanity.
Yeah. So. But like I said, I just don't think that love. I mean, I like the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates or Melinda, whatever her last name about to be after she get a new man. What's up, Melinda?
She's gonna be Gates still, bro. She's gonna be Gates. She's gonna still be Gates.
Melinda Blake. But on a very serious note, like even when you think of like the past, like think about Julius Caesar, or as recent as like maybe like a Hitler, or you think about the British monarchy, or let's even take it back to Mansa Musa, like in the Mali Empire. Like, you think he was that rich without corruption? Like, rich to the point that you could just go mess up other nations' economies by throwing gold everywhere? Like, that there's a level of corruption, I feel like, in all sense that you see with leaders. And I feel like
a balance. When you talk about corruption, okay, so in this case, there is a blurred line. That's the thing. Business, bro. Business is finesse of the system. Business, corrupt is just using it to your advantage in without moderation. That's the thing. Everything is good in moderation. Back to my point. Like, it's like corruption is good it's like Robin Hood, bro. Look at Robin Hood. Nigga was corrupt as fuck. He didn't give a fuck though. He was using it for with different intentions, bro. Same with some people. Like, I'm gonna make myself money, so I have more resources to do other things. You look at Bezos. Bezos is corrupt, but it's business. You know what I mean? It's
different when it's different when a government is that way.
It's
or the leaders of government. Yeah,
it's different when it's the intentions, bro. You know what I mean? Like, it's just intent, because everybody. That's the thing. Corrupt. What's your definition of corrupt, bro? Yeah. You know what I mean? You're corrupt, Will. You know what I'm saying? AT is corrupt. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you finessed anything in your advantage, you're corrupt. This is what it is. You did it for your own benefit, and y'all. I don't want to put y'all out. I'm corrupt. You know what I mean?
And today's episode is brought to you by the World Corruption.
But my intention is not necessarily to do harm to anybody else. You know what I mean? It's just and you look at it like, Bezos with Amazon. Bezos with this big umbrella at Amazon. You know what I mean? Think about the good he's actually done. Look at Gates. Look at the good he's done. Look at Musk with the good he's done. Think about the money they got. That's one side. But it's like, are they like evil villains? Are they doing something necessary? Like, you talk about waste. That's one thing. You know what I mean? Some of that stuff can pile up, but like,
can I make
it cost is part of business though? You know what I'm saying? You can go.
My counter with that, as far as like the good that any wealthy person does, is really just a direct reflection of where government has failed, though. So, like, I think it's absolutely ludicrous that scholarships exist. Like, that means college has gotten so expensive that you need all these other entities to give money to students so that they could afford something that is somewhat standardized at this point. Like, you should have a college degree. Or
what about grants though? Like, that's the same thing. Like, business, that's how you feel about a business grant, because your business isn't successful. You deserve.
No. I think I look at it. No, I look at it from more of the sense of like foundations. Like, billionaires create foundations to fund things where I believe government has failed. Look at all of these. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, so government, like you said, so AT has his rebuttal there was.
Oh no!
Grant. Oh no! You got to repeat.
You cut out.
Oh, my bad. Okay, so AT's rebuttal was the grants, right? The government grants. So things like the grants for students and stuff like that.
That's literally government admitting that government failed.
And there's that's why some people on the red side, I will say, kind of disagree with the
He said
welfare
on the
and
red side.
the welfare side of things and like government handouts, stimulus,
Yep.
because
Yeah.
it does
Government admitting
encourage.
that's failed.
Yes.
Yeah. It encourage you not to do well type shit.
Yes.
A lot of people who get on welfare stay on welfare because they don't want to lose the income. You know what I mean? So I totally understand. But like as a family, as being a part of a family that was on Section 8,
You know how much money they scammed from unemployment
as a conversation,
last year?
bro. Talk to my mom a lot about that shit, bro. Because my mom was on Section 8 for about 4 or 5 years. And I remember talking to her about it, and she talked to me about the struggles of being like, I don't want to get a job because I don't make enough to make up for the money I'm gonna lose from the government, and I'm making more money just not working. And I'm like, that's really crazy. And she knows, like, she was in this spot for a little bit, but she was like, I don't know what to do because if I start working, my living situation is going to significantly get worse because I haven't had a job for a couple of years. But if I don't get a job, I'm just going to stay without a job. And you know what I mean? So it's like that's a system in itself that seems broken. But I understand what you're going with. With the student thing, it's almost like credit, bro. It's almost like credit. If when you qualify for a scholarship, it gives kids who, because listen, man, regardless if you want to say it's almost standardized that people need a degree, it's still able to achieve success without it.
I agree. I totally agree.
But everybody doesn't want to. Also, there are kids who have no intention of going to school. You know what I mean? The Pell Grant gives them a foot in the door. I mean, not the Pell Grant specifically, but grants from the government give them a foot in the door. And if kids who really show that they want to, that's the thing. Scholarships are easy as hell to get if you just go look for them. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. If you just go look for them, you can find free money. But it's about giving kids the incentive. If they really want to do it, they're giving them a chance to get in there and do it without any real cost to themselves. But I do agree, higher education has become a focal point. I feel like I'm hoping, you know what I mean, we can find some shift in that going forward. Personally, it's not because I'm knee deep in loans or whatever, but it's, you know, I'm not the only one type shit. And I got lower loans than most of the people I know type shit. So it's like, I didn't stay on campus. I didn't go out of state. You know what I mean? So I don't know why those things matter so much. You know what I mean? It's going to be there anyway, but it is what it is. That system is obviously broken, but I do feel like similar to what we was talking about earlier with the leadership thing, if you show the initiative, you know what I mean, you get the opportunity. It just is what it is. You know what I mean? You show initiative and you want to go to school, then they're gonna be like, oh, you're actually gonna do something with it. Same thing with your credit. You know what I mean? If you got good credit, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? If I give you this loan, I trust you. You're gonna do something with it. You're not just gonna waste this money.
Made to be taken advantage of. Everything
it is
saying is made to be taken advantage of. And look at the PPP shit. That's all it's reminding me of. That's all taxes in general. That's what it's reminding me of.
People do that with no moderation too. Like, I can get 50 bands, I'm gonna take 50 bands. Like,
bro, I just saw something today that there was a slew of PPP loans given to fake farms in ridiculous ass paces. So it's like so much money it just got lost in the past.
New York City farms.
I'm telling you, they said tens of billions of dollars got scammed from unemployment last year. So.
New York City farm. I got an apple farm in Harlem. Yeah.
I'm telling you, bro. This shit crazy out here, bro. Shit crazy, bro.
But that's the thing, is like, if you build the system, that's on the system, bro. I cannot fault people for being corrupt if it's made to be taken. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is what it is. The fact that somebody was able to get, I swear to God, you know, I'm assuming that probably was a situation who got a farm in Harlem. But it's like, why didn't y'all, that's on the system. How are y'all giving away all this money without vetting this stuff? You know what I'm saying? So it's a two-way street, man. The system has to get better in order for people to not be, quote unquote, corrupt. You know what I mean? And keep it within an ethical, this like blurred ass line of ethics. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's a tough conversation. I feel like it'll always be in question.
Do you think having a better or a higher baseline of living would take away a lot of the greed that we see in America? Like, so I'm almost saying like
everybody got a minimum wage of like $75K a year or something like that.
Everybody has healthcare, everybody has housing, everybody has like some type of income, whether it's like UBI or they're getting out to work. Like, if stuff goes left, you at least you can go to the hospital, you can go find some food to eat, you got somewhere to live. Do you think that would take away the greed, or do you think people would still be like, if it would be like, for instance, if I put out if I put out on my street right now, which is a busy street, I ain't about to say what it is from the pod, but if I put out on my street,
Undisclosed.
Willie B's undisclosed location, but if I put out on the street like a stand and it's like food and beverage and clothing, and it says take only what you need, I'm almost positive everything off of there is going to be gone. And it's gonna be
that.
And it's gonna be a lot of people that didn't need it that took that.
To your example, if you're the only thing in the fucking city, yeah, shit gonna be gone. You know what I mean? But because if it becomes a standard over the course of 3 months where you can find these stands, quote unquote, on every major corner, you know what I'm saying? That's provided by the government. You know what I'm saying? Think about why crime exists. Think about why people be robbing people. What are they robbing them for? For money. What are they robbing these stores for? For money. What they rob, you know what I mean? Robbing them for money. For money for whether it's baby clothes, baby formula, diapers, money for the light bill, money for their car note, money for their mortgage. They getting money, bro. Why they sell drugs? For money. They need money. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that people are doing anything for in the hood, because they don't have fucking money. They can't get jobs. So they go to this, like, it's so if you got money, you everybody got money. You know what I mean? Of course, right away, these people that have this inkling, like to Joe Budden's point a couple months ago, some niggas just like to rob. Some niggas like conflict. You know what I mean? And that's what we got the police for. You know what I'm saying? But if everybody has money, nobody has a motive to go out and rob somebody unless they got disrespected by them or something like that, that lowers a lot of that shit, bro. It lowers a lot of crime. It lowers a lot of the issues that comes down to conflicts and stuff like that within the inner city, at least. And it's going to probably become a lot more. Okay, so think about it. Last year, people didn't have to work, right?
Okay.
You saw how people started focusing on other things. People had other stuff. People had time. You know what I mean? Same thing if they had a universal basic income, you know what I mean? They had money coming in, or they had free access to a lot of stuff they spend most of their money on. You know what I'm saying? They would have more time, less time working, more time to think, more time to focus on their life. You know what I mean? A lot of people's credit will go up. A lot of people's living situations will be better. You'll see a lot of depression probably decrease because money is the root of a lot of that shit. You know what I mean? So at least in the inner city, you would see things change. But the suburban, money is not the issue in suburbia. You know what I mean? So that's another question. But in the city, yeah, I feel like you would see a definite change. It would take time, because it would take time for it to be normal, to understand like, oh, like I'm okay. You know what I mean? I heard there was a study that came out a couple years ago. This is when, of course, inflation was a little lower. It said 75K was like the point of happiness for an American. To reach 75K a year, it was like, okay, you had money to save, you had money to live, you had money to have fun with. You know what I mean? You were good, and that was like the point where most people were happy. You saw a couple business. I think one business in particular, the CEO dropped his pay significantly in order to offer everybody in this company 75K. Because of this study, you know what I mean? Of course, since then, that sort of meeting has sort of risen a little bit because of the fact
about the spike in the next 10 years as well.
Yeah, already.
But I mean,
so the price of living sort of gone up.
To that point, 90% of U.S. cities, though, like 75K is nice. Like you have to be in like a San Francisco or New York, and still you can do okay in cities like that. You just can't.
You can live.
You just can't be living a baller lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't ball. Yeah,
but like
ball in Akron, 75K.
Oh yes. If you touching 75, 80, like I know a few homies touching 75, 80, and it's like, oh, y'all going out to eat all the time, and you're not even worried, or like, and you're able to put money away, and
they will say you're not even worried, like,
and and you can provide for your son, and you're not really
exactly.
You're
that's
good.
The thing. But that's basic. That's basic. Like that's living costs in Akron is like what basic cities are around the U.S. Like you said, besides like L.A., San Francisco, New York, Miami.
Like I was saying, even Denver was comparable to here. I'm not even gonna cap.
Yeah, it is. Denver is comparable to Cleveland. You know what I mean? Columbus, Cincinnati, those type of cities. But you got those fat cities where it's tons of business. And you got a lot of celebrities and stuff. You're going to see a lot more if you walk outside. You're going to cost more to live there.
And I want to touch on this. and this kind of goes back to the moderation. You know, people like, all right, for instance, like my story, more people watched it when I'm out of town because now people messaging me like, oh, you look like you enjoying yourself and you happy. I'm living vicariously through you. Literally, like a DM of mine was like living vicariously through
Well,
you.
you seen what we were saying in the group chat all week, bro.
No, he ain't see that shit. He curved it.
Oh, hey, yo, I ain't gonna snap like Cap. I was just out here.
Curve.
I didn't see half my messages.
Toad curve crazy, bro.
I didn't see half my messages. I ain't gonna cap.
Really?
But
you saw that DM though.
It was
tried to warn you
out of so many DMs, but it's just like everything should be in moderation. Little do people know, like people's like, "Oh, you taking a whole week off?" And I'm like, "Do you know how much I worked during the pandemic? Do you know that like when you got to break off from work, like you know whether paid or unpaid, and that's up to different people. It's just like I didn't get a break. Like I worked more in the pandemic, so it's just like for me." That's almost like I am taking my moderation. I am taking my portion for lack of a better phrase. And I think when people have better portion sizes in life, and that go for everything. That go for how I need to be losing some more weight right now. That needs to go for being physically responsible. That goes for, you know, giving back to the community. Understanding your portion so you don't get burnt out, so you don't go broke, so you can be healthier, so you can have more sanity.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes some people's portion is taking the time out and putting the money aside so you can go to therapy. Like that's your portion. So like at the end of the day, I really agree with the moderation and the portion aspect because like we all have a portion of what we should be doing, we should be a part of, and what we should be fulfilling. But there's also for lack of a better phrase, a responsibility that we have to ourselves to make sure that our cup is filled up enough so we can have moderation and give a portion to other people enough and or just for ourselves.
That's the problem with social media because niggas look at you and they be thinking that's their shit and it's not. You know what I mean?
They think I'm doing this stuff every day too. That's the other thing.
That's the same thing with us. It's the same thing with anybody. You know, that's why I don't really get on that stuff because people like to play games. You know what I mean? A lot of people act like they somewhere when they not. You know what I mean? You in particular, you post stuff. You know what I mean? And when you go on trip, you go on your trip, bro. You know what I mean? You don't go on trips every month. You know what I'm saying? If you go on a trip every month, it's probably something slick, like a 2-day trip out on the weekend or something like that. But like this was a long time coming. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like niggas don't really know what you be doing. Just like if whatever. You know what I mean? It's just what it is. That's the problem with a lot of that stuff. People get caught up thinking that somebody else's reality and their resources is what their resources are. You know what I mean? And it's not the same, you know?
And a lot of... Go ahead.
You go first, Willie, because I was going to say we're going to end on something.
Oh, well, all right. So like, and a lot of it is some people purposely putting on a facade. Like, you know, somebody asked me like when, like, they're like, oh, I see you out of town. Like, oh, let's grab lunch when you're going to be in the area. I was like, I may be there like top of the week or middle of the week or something like that. You know, I don't want everybody to know exactly when I get home. But I was like, oh, it seems like you out of town right now too or whatever. And then they like, oh, I'm just posting pictures from the other week. Like they like don't believe everything you see. I'm like, just
why are you just putting these people on blast?
Just no TBT, no none of the this is not now. They just I feel like the people just fronting for social media, and I'm like, you don't have to lie to kick it. Like,
hey, man.
like you don't have to. Like, am I gonna post some pictures like, oh, great trip or something like that? Yeah, but I'm gonna make it obvious. Don't try and just fool people that you are out of town still. People like, man, you still in Tulum. No, they not still in Tulum. They came back to Ohio.
Slightly building clout, being like, yeah, I go places. You know what I mean?
And you want to know what?
Different light.
But like, it also goes to well, I don't know if AT made this point again, but I also know when Ashton we was out of town, I went out of town with Ashton, and it was kind of like, oh, we get black media.
Yeah, he ain't text me back either.
Black media. We was not like, bro, we was not. It's not on purpose,
I'm trying to help
bro.
We're trying to do, me and Stacy trying to hit you up for the pod, aka business. I'm trying to hit up Ashton for his books, aka business. Yo, what y'all want? Business? This business? This business?
It's not business.
It's not business. It was pleasure. It was just pleasure all
pleasure.
It was pleasure and leisure. But no, I was getting my portion. But no, on a very serious tip of just like, you know, I don't feel like I feel like social media is part of the problem, but I feel like if it wasn't social media, it'd be anything else. I mean,
Yeah.
back when we had print magazines and stuff, it'd be fancy
Yeah.
cars or this
It's
new
always been
thing.
in play.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
always
why
been in play.
It was in moderation.
my ending point on the whole portion thing was going to be that regardless of whether, you kind of said, if everybody takes their appropriate portion, then the world would be kind of in this better place. But the thing is, society distorts portions in many facets of life. So it's like, you might think you're getting the right portion, or you might be hungry and you want way more. So it's like, where are you?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. But for those who like who don't have like their portion, like pretty much all you can do is keep grinding and don't get too like
Look,
heavy
man,
on yourself.
Keep
But
grinding.
for the people who do have way more than their portion, it comes down to take what you need, give your excess, and invest properly. And invest goes for a whole wide swath of things, whether it's like investing back in the stock market so you can keep your portion going, or investing in communities that you need to see grow, even though that's not necessary. That you will see benefit from other people growing, and literally just giving back. And that goes to both in a fiscal standpoint and giving your time. I feel like when you've amassed enough where you have more time to give back, spend your time. You ain't got to spend $1. Spend your time, because your time is valuable. So that's kind of the way I look at that right there.
I feel like good question. What was your question again? I feel like I was there. Now I lost it when Will was going in.
No, go ahead, AT. It seems like we're having a little technical difficulties on AT's mic.
Wow, right on time too.
Right on. Did you turn your mic off?
My friend.
What happened? What did you do?
My friend. I'm sorry, my friend. Technical difficulties, my friends. What he asking if I had a question? What was my question?
Yeah.
I didn't really have a.
Okay.
I might just rant about distorted portions, I guess, but I don't know.
Y'all got it. Okay, that's where I was going. I was going there with that. Okay, so it takes, in order to understand what your portion is and whether or not you've gotten to your portion, or you have your bit, or you have enough to give, or you, like to Will's point, like your cup is full enough. It takes reflection, man. You got to be able to sit back and not be looking. That's the part with social media where it distorts everything. Where you
looking at social media, not reflecting.
Exactly. And you're not looking at yourself. You know what I mean? You're looking at everybody else, looking at how you may look to everybody else. You don't know what you actually look like. You know what I mean? Understanding what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And it is honestly like your portion will probably never be what somebody else's portion is. You know what I mean? Just how it is. You know what I mean? That's the problem with trying to compare yourself. But the thing is, like, being able to sit back and be honest with yourself and realize, like, man, I don't have it to go to this trip. Like, I can't do this trip. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have to grind some more. Like, or maybe like realizing like I can buy this for myself. I can invest in myself. I can drop $20 in this for these kids on the corner. You know what I mean? I can invest in my community and get back to where I can. Like, just understanding what you can get back. It don't gotta be $100-something. It don't gotta be a trip to Cancun. It don't gotta be, you know what I mean, a new Ferrari. You don't gotta be renting the Wraith while you out in Atlanta. It ain't gotta be all this extra ass shit. You know what I mean? It could be something slight. It could be a smoothie with your girl. It can be going to the movies. It could be hitting Top Golf. It could be anything. It could be a photo shoot for yourself, just so you're showing yourself that you love yourself, showing your community you love it, however that may be. You know what I'm saying? So
understanding your portion.
Don't get caught up in the hype, man. Don't get caught up in the hype, man. You know what I'm saying?
Understanding your portion. Yeah.
Understand it. Y'all got any last words, or that's it? We've been another fluid triple pod from the squad, aka the Daze crew. Yeah, I mean, no guests this week. We are back every Sunday, 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. Last words, my brothers.
Hey, man, much love. Much love to y'all. I'll go first. I know Willie about to hit him with something profound as always. He just came from a trip. That boy been cooking. I ain't talked to him all week. Who know what he about to hit us with? But man, much love to y'all for tuning in. Thank y'all. If y'all tune in for the whole time, that's love, like a MFer, man. I love y'all. Love y'all brothers as well. Happy to be back on Daze Unscripted. Hopefully next week we back in the stew and I'm back on set and we getting busy with another guest, man. We're gonna see how the Daze treats us this week. Until then, much love always. Every Sunday 2:30. Make sure you tune in. Well, if you ain't, you're slipping. Hey, Willie B, what's up?
My last words are more about perspective, and I'll say this and be short, and I'll be out. As I was driving towards the mountains, you see them off in the distance, and some mountains are just like hours away, like just hours, because like they're just so large and they're so far away. But some of them you see them a little closer in the distance, and they get closer as you get to them, and you go up. Like for instance, we went up Mount Flagstaff, Flagstaff Mountain, and we're just winding up. We're winding up. And, we see his mountain. We're like, is tall, and then we get to the top, and we see the scope of all of Boulder. What's with they got candles or lighters in the air. But I really feel like when you broaden your perspective and you understand your portion, you can make the proper progress. So change your perspective, understand your portion, and keep going.
Thank you, Willie. That's Daze Unscripted. We talked about a lot today, but it was a great convo with my brothers. We will see y'all next Sunday,
Indeed.
2:30 Eastern Standard Time. The Daze Podcast on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/The Daze Podcast. Let's go. We out.
Shit.